Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hang out with these nerds.
Nathan Nerdarch.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And today we're going to create an organization, a new player race, and a threat to the realm. I want to start this video by thanking One Bookshelf. You might know their sites such as Drive-Tru-RPG, DM's Guild. They also have one for comic books and also fiction writing. You can find a link down in the description. We're going to link it to either DM's Guild or Drive-Tru-RPG because those are the places we like to visit. But the promo code that you're going to find down there is good for any One Bookshelf publishing site. That's going to give you a 10% discount on any order over $10. Go down there, check out those links, grab that promo code, check out our sponsor.
All right, so today we're going to talk about the Order of the Wizend.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of being a little bookish, this falls right in line. Although I don't think these guys had digital books to access.
No, I think that was it's more of a modern thing.
They had lots of bookshelves.
So the idea is we wanted to make up like a hybrid, possibly playable race based off of goat men, essentially.
Absolutely, we kind of saw some art, did some stuff at a recent con. And it's like, I think we could do something with this. And the conversation twisted and turned and moved in a number of directions until we got to this.
The Wizend, yeah. So I should say Goatfolk, actually, men and women. But the idea was there was this order of the Wizend. It was probably Wizend something. We don't really know. It's been lost to the ages of what that order was. Well, they stumble upon this ceremony or ritual to bring a being of power into the world. And, instead of stopping to ask if they should or not, they just decided they could. And they did. And they realized that they awakened a great evil power. And they've given this great evil power the awareness of the world of Ulfgania. That is the main world in our campaign setting, Chimes of Discordia. So they feel a little bit responsible because this being, and I think we're looking at Baphomet, because he's a fan favorite of ours, of mine in particular. And, they accidentally summon him into the world and then realize he's a being of great evil. So they band together, all of the order, and they cast him out. Well, with his last breath on the way out, he curses this order who happened to be living on a mountainside. Goats are already like a big part of their life because they probably use them for milk and cheese and that kind of thing. And they are also kind of charged with looking after and watching over this valley that's inhabited. So he doesn't just curse them. He curses everything, that they care about, themselves and everything in this valley, because he threatens them. You had the audacity to summon Baphomet into this world, and now that my gifts lie before you, you reject them, you insignificant old goats. And with that, he makes them appear the way they've acted in his mind. They're stubborn. A blessing of Baphomet is actually to turn people into Minotaurs. But he doesn't see that, these guys, he's punishing them by turning them into goats, something that's inferior to a bull and probably in his mind into a Minotaur.
But still has the hoofed and horned theme going on.
Yes, very much so.
So, linking onto that stubborn comment. So now we have this race of people, many, many generations, if not thousands of years have passed. And you've got this valley that's been inhabited by, probably humans before and is now got goat folk. And that lineage has spread. The race has become a normal thing within the world. But what does that mean? What does that mean to the area? What are they? What do you expect from them?
Well, first of all, I believe the order still exists. They've withheld this tradition that they passed down from generation to generation, and that is they're the watchers to keep Baphomet from coming back to Ulfgania. They feel responsible. They showed him this world. Now the world is in danger from this savage creature because of them. So they're always vigilant to make sure he does not return.
Yeah, so just like in the olden days, they've got their order centralized in this tower or fort, whatever we decide to make it. And that's their hub for learning and kind of training the next generation of these watchers.
So naturally, they have an affinity towards magic and being wizards as a tradition. We were talking a little about making them a peaceable race, and we were thinking about some of the things that they might they might get as a race. And oddly enough, a stat bump to intelligence is not one of them. We figured they're stubborn and they're willful.
And sturdy.
And sturdy. So we're probably going with like a main stat of wisdom with a secondary of constitution.
And like that would fit. How often is someone going to curse you and bestow upon you a blessing? Like it's not going to work. So why would Baphomet turn them into goats increase their intelligence? It should increase their wisdom of like you need to make better choices.
Right, or I was going with the idea that just as a people, they just happen to be stubborn and willful. So he kind of like enhanced that quality in them.
And I was just thinking about how the people talk about goats like eating all different kinds of stuff. I'm just thinking about it. Goats walking around in the library and like, ooh, paper, and just eating stuff.
So, with that in mind, we're talking about some different racial abilities, and a lot of them are kind of like ribbon abilities. And I hadn't even really thought about the fact that goats can pretty much eat anything. So do we make them resistant to poison, and make them, give them, whatever we call it, goatish resistance or whatever. But essentially, toxins just aren't as effective against them. Advantage on saves and
half duration.
Well, I was thinking it's just like kind of chop it out. Like, what does the dwarf get?
It would be the same as the dwarf and the halfling. Resistance,
okay.
And they'd get resistance, and they would get advantage on their saving throws. We had looked at the goat, and they have an ability called Sure-Footed, which is literally you have advantage on saves to being not strength and dexterity saves to be knocking prone. I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think that's going to come up often enough to be like, oh my god, this is overpowered. Right now, we're right in line actually with a stout halfling, to be honest with you, except for their stat bonuses are to dex and con, which I think are actually better than the con and wisdom, unless you're going for a cleric.
And I was thinking with the mountain traversing, and also I'm thinking like images of like goats jumping around in the mountains. This is like a general, rather than give them something good, helping them jump or helping them climb, just give them like the skill athletics would work.
Yeah, natural climber or something like that, and it's funny too because like if it's a wizard, what are they probably going to dump? Their strength. So it's not like a huge boon anyway. So it's pretty balancing. It's only when they kind of go against type for their tradition that it becomes more efficient. So we had also talked about the idea that they're naturally studious, they're natural researchers, and they like to have their noses buried in the books. And I would even see like even though that's more like the order itself, but I feel like if they're watching over and looking over this village, like they're probably gonna have educators there, and it's probably something that's going to be esteemed throughout their culture. So,
yeah, and they're gonna grab like upcoming talent, and also cultivating that talent in the village.
So the Wizend are going to have a presence within the town to be able to notice that talent, to be able to foster in all of them the chance to be of the order, because let's face it, they need all the help they can to keep this evil out. So what does that mean in regards to being good at research?
I think we give them an ability called studious or maybe book cunning. Essentially, it is stone cunning, right? Except for it focuses on they have double proficiency bonus to, or it could just be proficiency bonus, whatever the stone cunning wording is, to doing research when using Arcana or History, whether they have the skill or not. So that's what I would do, and that's kind of like I think what I would round them out with.
And that helps them because if they're going to be a lot of knowledge-based things, if they do like the wizard route, which is kind of what I would assume either a wizard or a cleric, kind of going the spellcaster route, you're not getting any bumps to intelligence, but getting that nice bump to your Arcana checks and history checks, that's gonna kind of like round them up and make them kind of have that edge.
Right, but it's really now we could talk about this a little bit, but in my mind I was thinking it's really specific when it's to like research. So like they have those bonuses, but only if they have access to somewhere where they can research. So it's not like you're going to be like making checks on the fly with that advantage.
Almost like a research like kit or something. I'm thinking of like,
well,
if you have something equivalent to a certain amount of books or subject matter, you can kind of use it.
I think it's going to fall into GM's prerogative. If you've got a library, then obviously, yeah. If you have gone to a library and collected a decent amount of stuff, and you're going to research on the road, yeah, that's going to be up to the DM at that point, because you've brought along what you believe is enough to answer that question.
The other thing I would say is, are there maybe agents in the world that they're either looking for or kind of look to strike out against them?
There's always going to be conflicting individuals. So if they are against Baphomet and his minions, then anyone that would be an agent of Baphomet or potentially an agent, they're going to be against that.
So that's going to be the normal, like cultists, Cambions, all that kind of stuff.
Or maybe there's a counter organization, counter order, like Knights of Baphomet or something like that, or the Horned Knights or something along those lines that we can introduce into our world as well. And they're established to kind of like maybe like put down the Wizend, but they might have other goals and objectives by now as well. And obviously they want to bring their lord, the Horned King, into this world.
All right, so I'm going to go in a different direction. The organization is called the Labyrinth, because he's about minotaurs, and those who serve him all have like these secret areas, and like even their symbol could be like layers of knots that make a labyrinth. His own lair itself is a 3-dimensional labyrinth, so you could literally call it that. It doesn't give any real clue as to what it is, and it could have layers, and only those who get to the center truly know that this is what it's about. Others are serving this cause without knowing what it is, and that's making it reach even further.
And one of their strategies for combating the Wizend is to give them routes within, like breadcrumb trails that lead in weird directions that aren't like helping them figure stuff out. So it's almost like counterintelligence attacks.
Well, I kind of see it as like if the Wizend are about observing, learning, and propagating information, the Labyrinth is about the opposite of that. So obfuscating information and knowledge.
Yeah, and I think that would be a nice counter to them, because they're trying to hide or derail or give like a thing that could be true but it really isn't, and it's beneficial for them to not be able to figure that out. Like,
and then then part of me wants to have a goat's eye in a cage for some reason. There's some kind of symbology somewhere in there for the bad guys. But even the Labyrinth idea, you could do some really cool elaborate designs. I see an amulet. What if the Labyrinth is a cube or even a sphere? And then there's something inside of it. So I don't know, guys. What do you think? Is the Order of the Wizend something you would introduce into your campaign? Do you like the idea of a Goatman race and the way we've done it? We have a place where you can discuss that. That's then on the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over at nerdarchy.com.
Don't forget to check the description down below to get the link to Drive-Tru-RPG or any of the other One Shelf, and use that promo code.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.